NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series driver Carson Hocevar announced that he is launching his own race program and he is getting into the late model program. This is over on Carson Hocevar's official Twitter account. This is the press release that he put out on Twitter. It says Chase, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Pinsonneault announces next chapter of driver development. After impressing in Delaware Speedway's weekly pro late model division and touring Ontario with the APC United Late Model Series in 2023, third generation racer Chase Pinsonneault will join forces with NASCAR star Carson Hocevar under the newly minted Carson Hocevar Racing banner for the 2024 season. Pinsonneault will open his season in a CHR prepared pro late model, chasing events across the Midwest and Southeastern United States, with the goal of eventually transitioning to super late model competition later in the season. This is what Pinsonneault said. He said, having this chance to continue my progression as a driver is an amazing opportunity. The fact that Carson Hocevar and his team see potential in me is a huge confidence booster. I've got to work with them a little already in testing it, and it really does feel like they've built a program strong enough to succeed anywhere we go. Carson Hocevar Racing team manager and crew chief is Zach Dunson sees a bright future ahead for Pinsonneault and is excited to get to work with the rising star. This is what he said. He said, Carson and I are both very excited for the next chapter of Carson Hocevar Racing. We've both watched a lot of Chase's race footage from the 2023 season, and you can see just how much raw talent he has. He's a very respectful young man, and his family has been in the motorsports industry for generations, which makes them incredibly knowledgeable on what it takes to be successful. Carson and I have talked about doing a development deal for a couple years now, continues Dunson. Having him sign a multi-year NASCAR Cup deal was the perfect time to start developing a new talent. He says, I've been racing with Carson since he was 12 years old, and all that time together has allowed us to experience the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And at the end of the day, your program's strength is built from how you rebound from the bad days and how you leap forward from the good ones. Pinsonneault sees a chance to learn from Hocevar as a way to grow as a competitor, both on and off the track. He said, I'm incredibly excited to get to work with Carson. He's a wheelman, and I'm really happy to have the chance to learn from him and just continue to refine my craft and grow as a racer. I've been dreaming of this type of chance from the moment I watched my first race. I'm ready to take on the challenge. I'm excited to race against some of the best in late model racing, guys like Bubba Pollard, who I've watched my entire life. I can't wait to see how I stack up. While 2024 sees Pinsonneault competing exclusively in the U.S., Pinsonneault and CHR have already had the opportunity to begin building their relationship at the CHR shop in Michigan. We've tested with Chase 3 times this fall, says Dunson. The number one thing that stuck with me is how much info you can pack into Chase, and he just absorbs it like a sponge. Every time we stopped for a major change in setup, Chase was immediately right under the car with us to ask questions and understand the next moves we were going to make. Pinsonneault is set to make his CHR debut on January 20th at Speedfest at Crisp Motorsports Park in Cordell, Georgia, and is ready to begin learning from Hocevar as soon as possible. Just being around Carson and his team is going to give me a chance to polish up how I approach racing, explains Pinsonneault. From what I've seen, our driving styles are very similar. I'm ready to get started. I can't wait for this to get rolling. And then they provide some information about the Speedfest at Crisp Motorsports Park. I would not be surprised if he also shows up at New Smyrna in February for the World Series of Asphalt, where they have some really strong pro late model drivers racing down there, some really good racing in the pro late model division. So I would expect him to race there after he competes in the Speedfest at Crisp Motorsports Park in Georgia. It'll be interesting to see if he also competes in the Cars Tour Pro late model division that races up and down the Mid-Atlantic, primarily in Virginia and North Carolina. So we'll see if that happens. Obviously, there's a lot of opportunities to race in that with the pro late model. Then he's talking about maybe going super late model racing by the end of the season. So maybe we see him at like the Winchester 400 in Indiana and some of those premier events, maybe at the Snowball Derby as well. So we'll see what happens here. But it looks like Carson Hocevar is getting into the late model game, and he has Chase Pinsonneault as a driver. It'll be interesting to see if the team also prepares a car for Hocevar to compete in some of those races as well. We do know he has competed in the Winchester 400 in the past, back in 2018. He's competed in the Super Seal Slinger Nationals back in 2020 and in 2021. So he was in the Snowball Derby in 2018, and then he also did some Cars Tour pro late model stuff back in 2018 and in 2020. So maybe he also gets in the car. And I know he did some other things this year too. He was getting in some super late models as well. So maybe they start preparing a car for him too, and he competes in his own car, similar to maybe what we see Dale Earnhardt Jr. do in the Cars Tour, where he might jump in one of those Cars Tour late model stocks in some of their premier events, such as North Wilkesboro earlier this year. So should be even more competition coming to the pro late model and super late model series, and I'm really looking forward to see what the Carson Hocevar racing team and what Chase Pinsonneault brings to pro late models and super late models next year.